Step-ups, guns, travelling, Hawaii, Indo, Fiji, wherever you want to go. You've experienced surfing some big waves and being on tour and stuff like that. And, I've been going to Indo, for 45 years and just, love going over there. Before we used to ride quite long boards.
Yeah.
And it's got shorter and shorter and shorter. And Mick Fanning came up with this one on the SWEETSPOT, which is, a little bit wider in the nose, so you can still paddle. Nice tight tail so it holds in, so you can ride a 6.2 instead of riding a 6.4.
Yep.
Then we've extended it, we talk about Hawaii and stuff. But with your experience and what I'm finding is getting the right fins for your step-ups when you're travelling is because there's so much water movement and stuff like that. And I just find that, Mick and the team all go to MFs.
Yeah.
I've been going to my fin because I want a little bit more freedom. I'm not trying to get on the rail and stuff like that. But then when we're talking about people going to, when they're riding 6.4s and above, I feel like they're locking the narrow tails in. So what's your experience on just right size fins for these people?
Yeah, I find that once you get into this gun style of a surfboard, even a semi-gun and up into guns, there's a certain point where the tails start to get too narrow to be able to really get the freedom and the line that you want to draw on these longer waves, and a big fin locks you in too much. And creates too much drag and starts to really anchor the tail in too much. So I tend to step down in size and really, put where I would use a medium large or a medium large fin, I bring it down to a medium fin. And that normally happens around that 6.4, 6.6 mark, especially anything above 6.6, and the tails are getting a lot narrower. Coming into that sort of medium size for me, and then maybe not something so raked as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I tend to come into that more neutral fin. I like a neutral fin, or your fin template in particular. I think would work incredibly well in this board.
Yep.
Especially for sort of surfers like us. We can surf, but we're not at the pro level, and we just want to have a very dependable feeling surfboard under your feet, and you're in bigger waves and you're drawing longer lines, you don't want to be making too many mistakes, and you want something that's really dependable, right? Yep. You don't want to get yourself into trouble. You don't want to feel like you're too locked in on a bottom turn, and that's why I feel like something with a lot of rake. I mean, the pros can push these around and they need that extra lock in because they are driving so hard. But for me, this fin in particular, your fin in this style of board, will let me get to where I want to go.
Yeah, just free up that back.
Just free up that back a little bit more, just because it's a bit more upright compared to mixed fin. That's leaning back. This is standing up a bit more. Carver family versus accelerator family. Yeah. That's been my experience with it.
Yeah. And that's what I've found. Like I went to Hawaii again this year, and just finding that I was riding quite some large boards because I just wanted to get in and get out of there. And as soon as I went to a medium fin, it made a hell of a difference.
Yeah.
And what I've seen, even Isabella, that rides for FCS, she rides medium fins, and she was actually looking for a small back fin.
Yeah.
So she could free the board up.
Well, it's this rail line from sort of the halfway mark all the way down to the tail. The narrower that gets, the more it's biting into the wave face, and you add too big a fin to it, and it just locks it in too much. Doesn't give you that freedom to get the board moving the way you want it to get moving. So, it's.
So with the customer that would buy this is a 6.6 37 litre SWEETSPOT. Even going to the Sandman, which is even more literage and stuff like that.
Yep.
They're going on a boat trip. They're going on a land camp. And it's like there's a lot of volume. So if they put the large fin in there, even if they are 80 kilos, it could lock them up.
It's too hard to move around.
Yeah, so get them to, have your large fins, but also have your medium fins. That's the time we got to play with it.
Absolutely.
And I'm a big believer of when you're going on these trips and when you're surfing, waves of consequence, that a couple of screws in those fins.
Totally.
Yeah.
You know, and that's one of the reasons why we did leave the grub screw holes in the FCS2 plug, because you can anchor it in, and you actually don't need to use both the holes. Just the back screw hole there will lock that FCS2 fin in place, because that little notch in the front of the fin, that locks into the front of the plug, and then the barrel and titanium rod mechanism, you know, clicks in, it's secure, but it's not infallible. If you knock that fin, it can come out.
I've seen people knock it out on the boat.
Oh yeah,
because they hit the pole and, you know.
It happens, but you know, adding that grub screw just to the back hole in the plug completely locks it in. But the disclaimer to that is, you know, if the fin hits you, there could be damage to the board, and there could be damage to the human. And the amount of cases I've heard of people going, "Thank God the fin's popped out."
Yeah.
You know,
well,
because
I didn't even think about that.
When it hits me, you know, if it was locked in, it would have, you know, busted an artery. So
we had class on fins forever.
For a long time. So just be careful out there.
All right, so be careful out there. But yeah, I just big believer in locking your fins in.
Yeah, totally.
When you're on, especially when you're on a boat, you know, you got to borrow fins and stuff like that.
Yeah, or you know, you're surfing a remote place and you're way out there, and you know, just that security, peace of mind.
Rich, this is a thruster. Used to be a quad.
Yep.
In the pipeline of making a new step up with a 5 fin in it. What's your experience from that? Is it just barrels, or can you turn with the quad on these bigger boards?
You can definitely turn with a quad. I mean, the general perception is, you know, quads in barreling, you know, Tahiti, Chopu style waves or pipeline. And again, we spoke about Mick, he won the world title on a quad. Kelly's won numerous times. It is a stability element when you put the quad fin in. If you are riding back in the tube a lot, you are dealing with some turbulence in there, that quad fin tends to help anchor that back of the board in and allows you to control the board a little bit better. There's also that extra thrust element, because you know, the area of the thruster setup compared to the area of the quad setup, there's more area in the quad. So you've got more fin to push against. But you know, you're not losing any speed, because you're actually gaining speed because you're eliminating that center plug. So the quad's definitely an option.
And what quad would that be?
It's
a 50-50 foil, is it?
It's a 50-50 foil on the carver quad rear, and if your quad rears are set close to the stringer, that's your money fin for that. And in the bigger waves, anything where the board's a little bit, you know, smaller wave board, it's going to be the performer quad. But for your gun style quads, that carver quad rear it's a money fin.
All right, well there it is. That's the whole range. Thanks a lot, Rich.
Thanks, mate. Thanks for having me. I'm always available to talk about fins and boards. I love it.
All right, and then we'll go and have a bite to eat and maybe talk about mid-lengths, eh?
Yeah, let's do it. We got a lot to talk about there.
All right, thank you.